Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Olumide Macaulay. The Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a lawsuit filed against President Bola Tinubu challenging the proclamation of the state of emergency in Rivers State. The suit instituted by Belema Briggs and 4 others against the emergency rule was thrown out by Justice James Omotosho. The judge ruled that the 5 plaintiffs lacked the legal standing to bring the case, noting that such a constitutional matter could only be determined by the Supreme Court. Justice Omotosho explained that none of the plaintiffs claimed to be members of the State Executive Council or the House of Assembly, nor did they demonstrate they'd suffered any injury greater than any other resident of Rivers State. Furthermore, they did not have the fiat, the authority of the State's Attorney General, to initiate the action. The court also noted that the plaintiffs did not dispute President Tinubu's claim that he imposed a state of emergency to prevent a looming breakdown of law and order. Finally, Justice Omotosho held that the plaintiff's claim of fundamental rights breach could not stand because the president had appropriately invoked the law regarding an emergency rule order. The European Union's chief election observer, Barry Andrews, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to act on the recommendations outlined in the EU's post-2023 general election report, urging implementation before the 2027 polls. Mr. Andrews made the appeal during a recent official visit to the INEC chairman in Abuja. In response, the INEC chairman assured the mission that the Commission is committed to implementing the majority of the recommendations it has the authority to handle, while also closely monitoring those requiring legislative and executive action.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is hosting this delegation from the European Union Elections Observer Mission in Nigeria. This is one of the routine follow-up visits by the mission to get updates on the level of implementation of their previous recommendations after the last general elections.
What we are here to do is to look at the recommendations that flowed from the overall mission that were contained in the final report of the mission back in 2023. And we are very happy to see that there has been very significant progress against these recommendations, and we'll be looking forward to hearing what you have to report on the recommendations and the follow-up and implementation of those recommendations since 2023. There are specific areas that require legislative action that I've referred to in my opening comments, and we'd be delighted as a team to hear from you about what progress has been made and what concerns you have about obstacles in the future.
The European Election Observer Mission has made 23 recommendations after the 2023 general elections, with 8 specially directed at INEC for implementation.
The Commission has carefully considered all the 8 recommendations specifically addressed to us in your report. Action has been taken on aspects of the recommendations that only require administrative action to implement. Similarly, action is being taken on cross-cutting recommendations that require collective action between INEC and other bodies and stakeholders, while waiting for the conclusion of the ongoing legal review by the National Assembly on the recommendations that require legislative intervention.
The EU post-2023 general election recommendation is focusing on areas such as electoral administration, an inclusive and publicly accountable mechanism for selecting INEC commissioners and recs, more women representation, improving election technologies, among others.
The Nigerian Immigration Service has launched a nationwide enforcement action to flush out foreign nationals who've overstayed their visas or violated their entry terms. NIS spokesperson, Assistant Controller Akinshola Akinlabi, reported substantial compliance at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on the first day of monitoring. This crackdown comes immediately after the federal government's expired visa initiative and amnesty period officially ended at midnight on September 30th. That amnesty, announced July the 5th, had allowed foreigners with lapsed status to regularize their stay without penalty. The NIS will specifically target holders of expired visas on arrival, short visit business visas, and individuals with expired comprehensive expatriate residence permits. The service issued a stern warning. Violators face significant overstay penalties, removal from Nigeria, and a possible ban on future entry.
Today is the first day of the enforcement. So you could see that officers and men of the Airport Command of Nigerian Mission Service are doing their work, and so far so good. The work is going on fine. You can see that officers are all everywhere to ensure that there's full compliance. So everything is. You can see the controller of the command is there to ensure that officers are on high alert to intercept, arrest, detain foreign passenger who maybe overstayed their visa or violated their entry conditions. So the service is fully alert, and today being the first day of the enforcement, we are ready to enforce the directive from federal government. So today is the first day of the enforcement, and so far so good. Everything's going on fine.
Now, the National Emergency Management Agency has confirmed over 10 deaths, with 24 passengers rescued and 42 missing following the recent boat mishap in Kogi State. Search and rescue operations are ongoing. NEMA stated the incident occurred Tuesday evening when a boat carrying approximately 80 passengers capsized on the River Niger. The vessel had departed the Onugwa community in Ibaji local government area en route to Olushi village when it sank. The tragedy was also addressed by the Kogi State government. Speaking on our program, The Morning Brief, the State Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Timothy Ojoma, disclosed that between 20 and 30 of the traders were not wearing life jackets when the accident happened.
The incident was quite unfortunate, quite monumental to them, because our thought, our prayers are with the family and the village that lost their loved ones. In the middle of the river, the boat had issue. The boat simply broke, and about 80 occupants, 81, 82 occupants in that boat had to be scrambling for survival. As soon as this incident happened, distress calls were sent across, got to NIWA. Over 46 survived. They were able to rescue them. But yesterday, we had about 11 corpses recovered. Like this boat, up to about 20, 30 of them had life jacket on. If the whole of them had life jacket, obviously, the magnitude of this disaster wouldn't have been. More than 80-90% of the entire local government is covered by water. We have over 80 villages in the local government. If they have to travel from different locations, obviously some of the gadgets, especially the life jackets, may not be available as much to them. But NIWA has made a tremendous effort to providing them with life jackets along the coastal land. Kogi State Ministry of Transport equally did their best.
The recent wave of demolitions in the Lagos Trade Fair complex was necessary due to severe violations of urban planning laws. Now, that's according to the Lagos State Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, who also says that the key issues included improper layouts, building on drainages and walkways, lack of adequate sewage treatment, and construction too close to the road curbs. Speaking on our breakfast program, The Morning Brief, he emphasized that these demolitions are not news to business owners in the area. He denied any ethnic coloration behind the action, noting that state government has a clear resolution with the complex management to address these structural issues.
New to them that we are coming. We've been sending officers to that place, and we have on record that officers are arrested and locked up to as much as 5-6 hours. There's no meaningful, reasonable layout. That's the starting point before you even talk of approval. You have a 3-story building 2 feet away from the road curb, such that when you even open the door of those shops, they will swing over onto the road. We explained all this to the ED of that place. No drainage, no walkway, no sewage treatment, no water scheme. Everything is totally shambles. I mean, they should even be happy that we are there to sanitize it, because that's our responsibility. And what we have seen in that place, you have a situation whereby the management is now leasing out to a third party, private individuals who marshal their own team of consultants and contractor. So I think we should do away with this ethnic coloration that we're trying to put. What we are saying is that you should do your business or live in those places according to the law of those lands. Very simple. But the resolution that day was that one, all current development should stop, and they should give us the evidence of the approval of the existing one, which is the starting point, in this case, the layouts, then in the individual permit. The ED agreed partially, disagreed somehow, but the conclusion was that, okay, they are going to get back to their own authority and clarify that. However, the individual developers have been approaching us with a request for their permit. But the thing is that approval cannot be granted if there is no layout. It is the layout that says, okay, this is where the building should be.
The Chief Judge of Cross River State, Honorable Justice Ekon Ekpeme, has formally declared open the 2025-2026 legal year in Calabar, the state capital, charging members of the bar and the bench to rededicate themselves to the pursuit of justice with integrity and courage. Speaking at the Thanksgiving service held at the Assemblies of God Church, Justice Ekpeme expressed gratitude to Governor Basiotu for his sustained support for the judiciary, particularly the provision of 20 vehicles to judges, including 7 new ones distributed in September. She also highlighted significant achievements during her tenure, including the appointment of 15 new judges since May 2021 and a 45% revenue increase above the 2024 target at the judiciary headquarters.
We appreciate your continuous commitment in ensuring that you deliver the right template to ensure that justice is delivered efficiently and speedily in our dear state. I would like to particularly thank Your Excellency for the renovation work that has commenced in the multi-door courthouse. I would also like to inform Your Excellency that we have evacuated High Court 8, and we are hoping work will soon start there, as the judge who sits there had to immediately evacuate the court and share courts with another judge. Also, the magistrate court complex at Moro is in need of complete renovation, as well as all magistrate courts in the state.
In order to increase the mobility of judges in the state, brand new SUVs have been provided for them, while the seeming intractable dispute with 30 numbers of magistrates in the state has been amicably resolved. Accordingly, all of them have been placed on their proper salary grade level, while the accrued arrears are being paid in phases. I am equally aware of more demands made by the magistrates in the state, such as 50% increase in their present remuneration, conducive office accommodation, and means of mobility. These demands are germane to effective discharge of their duties. Hence, we are giving this request serious consideration. Meanwhile, plans have been concluded for the renovation of all court facilities in the state.
The Niger State Commissioner of Police, Adamu Elemen, has received the new Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Commander Siberu Anivi, on a courtesy visit to the police headquarters in Minna. The visit is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen security operations across the state. Both security chiefs pledged to work together to tackle crime and improve safety.
Niger State continues to make headlines over rising insecurity across several communities.
January 1988, at the local government area of
This situation prompts a visit by the new Niger State Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to the Commissioner of Police. The Commandant explains that since the Commissioner of Police is the chairman of the State Security Council, it is necessary to strengthen synergy between both agencies.
We like to work with him, and by the grace of God, we will not disappoint him. And I know as a father, he will not just chase us away. So he's a father, really is a father. So, and I'm happy that I met somebody like him, because we'll be meeting, and the way, despite the fact that I have never paid him the fatherly role, I have never paid him my homage. So he has been carrying me along. Even we met outside the state here in Abuja, he has been carrying me along. And I believe for now, the other teams, his management team, the DCPs and the ACs, I believe we are going to work together.
Welcoming the Commandant, the Commissioner of Police, Adamu Eleman, commends the move, stressing that security agencies must operate together to ensure safety, peace, and stability in the state.
I welcome him delightfully, and I promise him synergy and collaboration, because just like what I told him, a tree cannot make a forest. So we have to put head together, come together, not only him, with the other sister agencies, to collaborate and do the work of security in Niger State.
The visit of the NSCDC Commandant marks a new beginning. Both security chiefs describe it as a renewed era of partnership aimed at keeping residents safe.
The Benue State government have launched a new policy framework to guide the resettlement of internally displaced persons. Represented by his deputy, Sam Ode, the governor revealed that the policy is designed to move the displaced people from temporary relief to long-term solutions that will help to restore their dignity and livelihood.
Yawata, a border community in Guma local government area between Benue and Nasarawa states, comes under deadly attack on June 16, 2025. The incident draws one of the strongest condemnations yet, following years of repeated attacks in Benue by suspected herders and armed groups. In response, the Benue State government, working with Save the Children, set up a steering committee to develop an official IDP policy. Today's meeting is organized for its launch.
National Commission for Refugees, Migrants.
The state technical team lead says the policy aligns with international standards.
This policy is more than a document. It's a roadmap of hope. It calls on all of us, government, partners, communities, and citizens to turn compassion into coordinated action and to ensure that displacement in Benue never becomes a permanent condition.
The Deputy Country Director of Save the Children International urges all stakeholders to move beyond words and take concrete action.
Your Excellency, as we gather here today to launch this important document, we would like to call on government agencies, development partners, civil society, and community leaders to work together to ensure that this policy moves beyond paper to action.
At the launch, Benue State Deputy Governor Sam Ode stresses that short-term support is not enough to address the needs of IDPs.
Aid alone is not enough. This policy moves us from relief to recovery, from temporary support to long-term stability.
Participants express hope that the new IDP policy will shift focus from only humanitarian aid to long-term solutions such as skills training, resettlement, and improved public safety.
The Babagana Zulum of Borno State has distributed food items to 18,000 vulnerable households in Dikwa, the headquarters of Dikwa local government area of the state, as part of the Independence Day celebrations. Now, the governor, who personally supervised the distribution himself, also handed over 10,000 naira each and a set of clothing wrappers to 35,000 vulnerable women in the community. He also explained that Borno State government has reduced humanitarian support to returnees by 90% following the return of peace to most communities.
Governor Babagana Zulum is at the Emir's Palace in Dikwa to condole with the people following the attacks in the community. He comes bearing food and non-food items for some of the returnees who he believes have shown resilience in their communities. Apart from the insurgency, the returnees had also witnessed the outbreak of koala birds and a flood disaster which destroyed farmlands in the communities. The governor, accompanied by a high-powered delegation and security personnel, supervises the distribution and handing over of the items to the returnees. According to the state government, every head of household will go home with a bag of maize and another bag of rice, with the women getting 10,000 naira cash and sets of wrappers.
About 35,000 heads of female household will receive support this morning. Each one of them will receive a wrapper and 10,000 naira each, while we have about 18,000 heads of the male households. Each will receive 25 kg bag of rice and 25 kg bag of maize. The female are housewives, so they will receive 10,000 each and a wrapper. And we believe this one will at least support them so that they will go to their farms and they will cultivate their farm.
The Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, who spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, thanked the governor for meeting the needs of the returnees.
The governor supported them with tractors, fertilizer, pesticides, and many have gone back to farming. From here to Mate, you will see people farming beans, millet, and even rice. Therefore, we are grateful to the governor.
The mass distribution of food and non-food items by the governor is to support the returnees to pick up their pieces following the devastation of insurgency and the poor harvest resulting from the flood.
Welcome to Business News. Economic experts have expressed divergent opinion over the increase in the monthly allocation to the states and local governments by the Federation Account Allocation Committee. Speaking on our Business Morning program earlier today, a senior economist at SPM Professionals, Mr. Paul Alaje, commended the extent of improvement on infrastructure and other sectors of the economy, while the CEO of APT Securities, Mr. Garba Kurfi, lamented the negligence of key areas by some subnationals.
We can see that there has been a lot of improvement in what goes to subnationals from FAC. Even the federal government has had more in terms of revenue. But from the numbers we have picked, 8 of the 36 states, we have seen significant improvement in their infrastructure deployment. Meanwhile, the remaining, I think they've concentrated more on recurrent expenditure as well as agriculture. For many of them, we have not seen so much in terms of impact on health, but we have seen impact on agriculture for some states. Some states it has been more impact on infrastructure. For FCT, what has been very obvious, among other things, is the impact on infrastructure. So we have seen subnational implemented some of the infrastructural stride, but this is not ubiquitous to all the subnationals from the state and the numbers that we have picked.
The state and the local government.
Nigeria's broad money supply surged to 119.52 trillion naira in August this year, marking a sharp increase from 117.4 trillion naira recorded in June. That's according to the latest data released by the central bank. The August figures reflect a year-on-year rise from 107 trillion naira in August last year, demonstrating the persistent expansion of liquidity in the financial system despite concern over inflationary pressure and exchange rate volatility. The data further showed that Nigeria's net foreign assets, NFA, climbed to 40.9 trillion naira in August this year, marking an increase from 40.7 trillion in June. Similarly, the figures reveal a modest improvement in the country's external reserve position, despite persistent challenges in the global and domestic financial market. Deposits made by commercial banks to the central bank through the Standing Deposit Facility hit 5.5 trillion naira as at September the 30th, following the repayment of open market operation OMO bills. This comes as the CBN repaid 731.13 billion to investors on Tuesday, pushing banks' deposits with their regulator to that all-time record high. According to analysis by FSDH Merchant Bank, in September 2025, the CBN conducted OMO repayments worth 1.2 trillion naira. These included 731.13 billion naira on September 30th, 254.9 billion naira on September the 23rd, and 204.9 billion naira on September the 16th. The surge followed an earlier increase on Monday, while the SDF reached 5.8 trillion naira, boosted by excess liquidity from the Federation Account Allocation Committee disbursements and OMO repayments. That's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.